Hi, we're the Stanley Brothers, and we've put together the Realm of Caring Foundation. The Realm of Caring Foundation is a very simple, non-profit organization that helps cancer patients, MS patients, Parkinson's patients, epileptics, and many other forms of diseases through the use of cannabis oil and treatment. This oil is provided to these patients free of charge. Please visit our website, realmofcaring.com, to learn more and learn how you can get involved.
Hi, my name is Matt Figge. I'm the father to Charlotte Figge along with my wife Paige. And Charlotte has a very rare form of epilepsy called Dravet syndrome. She started having seizures when she was 3 months old.
With Dravet syndrome, there's very few drugs that treat the epilepsy. Charlotte especially seems very untreatable with pharmaceuticals. So we've gone through all the drugs. Her neurologist has said we have nothing left. We've reached the end of the line, were her words. And there's not a surgical place to do surgery in her brain.
Started researching other options. Thank goodness we found the Stanley Brothers in the Realm of Caring. And then we decided to try CBD or MMJ, and a variant of MMJ. And it has given her 80 to 90% reduction in seizures. And behaviorally it's helped her. It's helped her appetite, and I can't think of any possible negative side effect that it has had. She's just experienced a better quality of life all the way around because of it, so thank goodness for that.
So the oil that Charlotte is using, the cannabis oil, it's non-psychoactive. The Stanley Brothers are making her a strain of plant and making it into a tincture that we put under her tongue. And it's a very high cannabinoid and very low THC, so there's no high, it's not psychoactive, which most people don't understand that. We're not getting our 5-year-old child high on this, but the medicinal part is the CBD or the cannabinoid, and it does seem to be helping her seizures. I just want to thank the Stanley Brothers and the Realm of Caring for helping us out and finding our path on this journey. It's been difficult and a little scary, but with their help, we've found the right medicine. We've just found this great group of people who really care about the patients and helping the children out who really have nowhere else to turn. So thank you.
Thank goodness for the Stanley Brothers for creating a strain of cannabis just for Charlie called Charlotte's Web, and it's worked awesome. Thanks, Stanley Brothers.
I'm Dr. Allan Shackelford. In my postgraduate training at major teaching hospitals of the Harvard Medical School, I was privileged to care for people with a variety of different life-threatening illnesses, and was also frustrated in many cases with our relative inability to treat many of those symptoms, many of the underlying diseases. In the last 3 years, I've been privileged to have investigated in a scientific way the use of medical cannabis to treat many of these same symptoms and some of those underlying disease states. And in that exploration was also privileged, based on my reading of the literature, to advise a number of legislators, both here in Colorado and in other states, on the medical uses of cannabis as an adjunctive treatment in many cases, but also in some cases as a primary treatment, either of symptoms or of, in some cases, underlying medical problems. One of the concerns that I have experienced is the lack of a coordinated, integrated campaign, if you will, to follow patients' responses to medical marijuana. At its peak in Colorado, there were about 144,000 medical marijuana patients. And there's been very little data collected on their experiences, their responses to the use of marijuana as a treatment. And in the course of my interactions with dispensary owners, patients, people producing ingested forms of cannabis, infused products, I've met with a lot of different people, and I've been impressed with Josh Stanley and his brothers' foresight and their interest in actually bringing together the experiences of patients whom they've cared for to monitor their responses. And it's a completely new idea, it seems anyway, And it's gratifying to see someone integrated in the business of medical marijuana, if you will, but also whose focus has been on the patients and on their well-being, and bringing all of their expertise in growing and understanding the properties of the marijuana plant to bear on that individual patient. In the course of developing this observational study protocol, I've gotten to know Josh better. I've been around and known Josh for more than 3 years now, I guess, perhaps longer. But I've also gotten to know his brothers, and this is really exciting stuff. This is not a medical, or this is not a marijuana story. This is a patient story. We, as a group, are excited about following patients' responses. Their individual stories. It's not about us, it's about them. And I think that the stories, as they are revealed, will be compelling. And it's tremendously exciting to be working with Josh, with his brothers, and most importantly, with all of these people whom we're privileged to serve. Now I hope, and I think we all hope, that the stories that you will be seeing in this series will inspire you to join us in this journey, tell us your stories, and support this effort, because it's unique, and the potential benefit, the yield of knowledge, the information that we can glean has the potential to help perhaps millions of people. So please join us.
We are the realm of caring.
I'm the realm of caring.
Okay, everybody, thank you for taking the time to watch that video. We have a series of 6 or 7 more of those continuing to come out and talking about different patient stories. Certainly, we appreciate Paige and Matt and their daughter Charlotte's story as we continue with this. And then we also have a special surprise for everybody that's going to come out in the next few weeks, and that is the Stanley Brothers blooper video. And so that kind of gets away from the patient stories, and it gets more into the types of stories where Jesse shoots Joel in the butt with a BB gun and they get in a fight, to me cutting down a tree and blowing up a greenhouse. There's a lot of different bloopers that we had as we were making the television series American Weed, and we've put all those together, and pretty soon we'll have all those out for you. But this video in particular, I hope that this helps prompt you. I hope this helps prompt you to go visit realmofcaring.com, become a part of the Realm of Caring, give what you can, volunteer what you can, become a part of it, because this is a lot bigger than just what me and my brothers or Can Labs or any of us can do individually. This is about all of us together. So again, tonight we have a great show for you. We have Spencer Nottingham coming in, a former employee of mine, I believe a 23-year-old epileptic patient who has found that this is the really only thing that has worked to curb his seizures. And then tonight we have a call in from Scotland. We're gathering a viewing from all over the world. We're gathering an audience that are so excited about what we're doing here, about the progress that we're showing, about the observational research studies, and about our cannabis concentrates. Allan Walker will be calling here at the end of the show. He's going to talk about the state of affairs in Scotland, and it might shock some of you. But moving on, let's move right into Science Corner. So again, I want to welcome Genifer Murray.
Hello.
I want to welcome Chris Stubbs.
Good evening.
And I want to welcome my non-mustache brother, Jesse.
He's just jealous, Jesse, I think.
I don't have a response for that. Yeah, he is jealous.
He's
Josh
jealous.
can't grow facial hair. Look at if you notice, if you look closely, you'll see a little bit of dirt or what could be facial hair on Josh's face.
You know, it looks like I've been gardening on a very hot day and a windy day in Oklahoma.
And you just went like this.
Yeah, some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. But you know what? That's not the point. I give it my best shot. And that's the point.
That's it.
All right, guys, let's move into Science Corner. Let's move into questions here. Okay, this question slash statement comes from Canada, and this comes from a woman named Paula Cribbett Janfield. And Paula says, we are looking into starting to grow and produce for our daughter. We live in Canada. My daughter has Dravet. And those of you that don't know, Dravet syndrome is a very rare and serious form of epilepsy. Her daughter is 14. And in a brief conversation, her neurologist seems he would like some supportive evidence that they can show him into some kind of evidence of what other people are doing and what is working. What is the difference that cannabis, or more to the point, cannabidiol, which we seem to bring up, cannabidiol.
Cannabidiol, say it
cannabidiol,
again.
I'm going to call it what I will. CBD, folks.
Yeah,
All right.
Cannabidiol.
Okay, and what CBD, aka cannabidiol, is making. All right. Are there currently files or stories, successful and not successful, because we always have to be pragmatic in our approaches to this, that they can take to their neurologist for him to read? Or is anyone willing to send their info that she can share with them? I'd like to be able to show him, number 1, child's weight. Number 2, dose that they're taking, how often, CBD ratio, form of delivery. 3, the meds and seizure control. 4, meds, seizure control since starting the medication. And 5, any side effects, good and bad.
Gotcha.
This is a very, very, very important question, Paula, okay? And this is going to lead into the next part of our conversation, okay, which is the craze that's been going on with Dixie Elixirs, a local company here, coming up with a new CBD pill. We're going to talk very briefly about that because next week we have the owner of Dixie Elixirs coming in, Trip Kieber, to come in and sit in the studio and explain more detail to everyone what it is that they're creating. So to push a little further, Paula's interested in showing her neurologist in regards to epilepsy, period, Dravet, and other seizure disorders. It doesn't have to be a success story per se, which is what we always say here. We take the good, we take the bad. We report everything. It's part of it. Yeah. We can't just sit here and report success stories.
Right.
Up to now, we've had largely success stories. Have we had a few failures? I wouldn't say failures because... You know, what's a 50% reduction in seizures? I wouldn't call that a failure.
Absolutely not.
No,
that's half of their life back.
That's right, half of their life back. And you look at kids like Charlotte, and they've had a 90% reduction. You look at kids like Aiden. You look at kids like Zakai, and some of the local kids that we treat here for Dravet and other types of epileptic syndromes. And people say, well, they've had a 50% reduction or a 60% reduction. Right. Well, this is, I wouldn't call that a success. I'd call that a success in spades. But we do have to report the whole story. That's what we're here to do. We're here to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Every physiological body is different, and that's what makes us all unique.
That's a huge part of this, yeah.
You bet it is. So let's jump up to the beginning part of the question. And the way, Paula, that I would start this, and I'm going to turn this over to our resident nerds, is that, you know what? We document everything that we give to these children in non-psychoactive nature and the ratio of CBD to THC, and the THC being so minimal that they don't have that psychoactive effect. Whatever child that we are that we're treating or that we're offering this oil to. And so, Chris, Genifer, I want to turn this over to you for a minute because you're the ones that we rely on because you're the only true lab in Colorado. And let me say that again. Can Labs is the only true lab in Colorado that actually does adequate, precise testing. And we're the only ones that we trust to test our oils and to test what it is that we're giving to our Dravet syndrome children.
Thank you.
So having said that, you keep records. We keep records. The parents keep records. We keep records daily on what it is that we're giving to these kids.
Yep.
And that's what's so important on finding out through what we call, and you're going to hear this over and over again on this show, observational research studies.
Yeah, and that's something that you guys should handle, reporting data to a physician or to another parent that's concerned. The forum that we've got going and your access to all those clients, that's where it's at as far as dosing. I can't recommend that. I've said that before. But, as far as the data is concerned, there's, the child's weight and BMI. Those are all part of the data set. We provide the numbers, and then there's publication data out there any physician has access, like we all do, to PubMed.com. PubMed is the National Institutes of Health database of research. It's got everything from, the DNA genomic level. I can pull sequence data out of and create genes. I mean, genetic engineering is at my fingertips
slow down.
every day.
Slow down.
But you have that all the way to publication abstract data, which
what's that, Chris?
that's published papers by peer-reviewed journals all across the world, a lot of which are supported by National Institutes of Health funding, which funds NIDA, the National Institutes of Drug Abuse, as well. So we as the public pay for that research, and the database that holds it all is PubMed.com. So you can type in, a physician can type in CBD seizures, like I do, and blog. If you check out our blog, there's a bunch of synopses of these research articles, and that's something my weekly goal is to post a few of those to let the public know that we're funding this research and it is there. But nonetheless, he can get numbers on, this is a mouse model study of seizures and cannabidiol, and that's how they do all pharmaceutical clinical trials. It's very applicable data in a lot of ways, but nonetheless, that coupled with your data on the patient's, physical, our data with the dosage, that physician should be able to make a really informed decision and have peer-reviewed articles to look at. Okay. And I'm flabbergasted at how many physicians haven't taken the step to look at PubMed and get this research data for themselves,
or
because
don't
it's
want
there.
to.
Right.
Or don't want to. But I just wanted to let you know the blog he's talking about is canlabs.com, and on the left, one of the rail cars says blogging. So I just wanted to make that clear. But also, again, I don't want to. We cannot say that THC doesn't help.
And that's part of what this article mentions.
Okay,
actually.
good. Yeah. I mean, we can't treat it like the redheaded stepchild or mother or whatever. It's really has its purpose, and again, the reason that this plant works is because it's an entourage of all the cannabinoids, not just a single compound like drugs, like Marinol.
Let's talk about this for just a second. Stop here. Jen, you bring up a great point, okay? What the FDA largely approves are single compound medications, and they approve single compound medications that are combined with different synthetics. Obviously, we've already covered the fact that that's the reason that they can bring up two different medications to combat each one's side effects.
Yeah.
Now, we look at the cannabis plant in particular, okay? And as we're going to talk here in just a minute about CBD only, CBD alone. There's never been adequate, if any, research that shows that cannabidiol, there you go, Chris.
Good.
Okay, that CBD has ever by itself ever done anything substantial on its own without having another cannabinoid, whether it's CBD, CBN, CBG, whatever it may be, knowing that now we know there's over 100 cannabinoids in the plant. We have not got the research we need to say that just CBD by itself will suffice. And so, Jen, well, hold on. All right, Chris has something to say on that.
So
Prove me wrong.
You got to get on the blog, Josh. So this article was published April 19th. Yeehaw.
Not April 20th?
2012.
Damn it.
Cannabidiol exerts anticonvulsant effects in animal models of temporal lobe and partial seizures. This is the paper that I quoted on the blog.
Strict cannabidiol, strict CBD.
And it says right here. Here, we report the effects of pure cannabidiol, 1, 10, and 100 milligrams per kilogram, in 2 other established rodent seizure models. Then they go on to say that there's a bifurcation in the data, basically.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what is bifurcation?
Can you jot that down
Basically,
for me?
what Charlotte's been experiencing
Yes.
does not hold true in this paper. The overall number of occurrences versus their intensity and the time period at which they occur were unchanged. Like, there's only specific parts of this. You have to read into it a bit, and I explain that on the blog. But this is pure CBD. And back in the day, even Meshulam's data from, the late 60s, he has really good records of giving all these animals and apes different versions, pure cannabinoids, and recording their data. That stuff's been cataloged, a number of different governmental agencies. That's out there too, for sure. So
Then
CBD alone.
how come Marinol wouldn't do the same thing then?
That's pure THC.
Well, right.
Well,
that's
wait,
still
but
a pure
but
cannabinoid.
Marinol is a synthetic form of THC.
Understood. Right.
So it is a copied form of the
Right.
original.
So it's
Molecularly,
not-
they're
It's not isolating
identical.
just that
but
other
it's
plant.
not
Molecularly
It's-
identical,
it's-
yet
yeah.
tests have shown that not the same thing.
Right.
And we've
Look,
seen
if you
how many patients.
purified Delta 9 THC in a lab from the plant,
Okay.
it's very unpleasant.
Right.
It's not like a fun thing.
So-
it hurts. I mean, it's different. There are, all of these pure compounds alone are different. They're still non-toxic, but my goodness, it's a different story.
Right.
And so pure CBD, on the one hand, has been studied. Just correction. So there you go. The
Got
data-
it.
the
Got
data
it. And
is out
thank you.
there.
And I stand corrected. And I
Totally.
love that. I love it when you can tell me I've not seen something, because I certainly I don't see everything. And
Well-
and that's really what we're trying to get to the bottom of. You
Right.
know. So Paula, I hope we've answered your question, but I want to answer it a little bit further, and that is that the research that we've done so far. Okay, when we take our Dravet kids here in Colorado and the ratios that we've taken and what you guys have tested, what Dr. Shackelford has followed up with, what we report to CDPHE, which is Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, I want to let you know, Paula, our findings are yours. Okay, so just
That's great.
email us at realmofcaring@gmail.com. Okay. And send that to us, and we will work to get our findings to you
Yeah,
through
in a
myself,
packet.
through Jen,
we'll give
through
the test
Chris,
results.
through Dr. Shackelford. We're going to get you guys the results. We're going to get you anything and everything that you can get to your neurologist, so that you're able to help treat your daughter.
Absolutely. And he should be able to call, whoever he thinks, probably Dr. Shackelford or, another doctor
And
about that.
that's
but
right.
he can talk to us about the test results, and Chris can explain to
And
him.
we're going to open those lines of communication for you, Paula. This isn't what we do here through the realm of caring, through this radio network, through Can Labs. We're an open door, okay? We're not sitting here trying to come up with compounds and ratios and things like this that only work for our benefit financially. That's not what we're here to do, okay? And I hope you understand that. We're here to help you in that regard. We're here to team up together in the future to come up with new products and new more traceable, more trackable, as opposed to just saying, okay, Chris, here's some oil. We need this ratio for Charlotte, for example, who we use as our poster child, the precious little thing that she is. But we would like to come up with more of a standardized type medication for your children. And all of this, these are steps that we all have to take. So it's not just us here in Colorado, Paula, it's you in Canada, and we're here in this fight with you. Our prayers and our sincere thoughts and our energy are with your daughter. So please understand that. And
You're not alone.
No,
That's for sure.
not at all. Chris, Jen, do you have anything you want to say to Paula in closing to this?
Just that the data is out there, the publications are out there. Just really push. I'm again flabbergasted by how many physicians don't use the resources they have on hand to really give it a good look. And
Right.
the
And a lot of them are
information's there. Even
scared.
the medical cannabis doctors here in the state don't know, and it's all around them. And we push the information, and it's right
It
in front
is,
of them,
but
and
I
they
mean,
still
in
don't
defense
know.
of doctors, not that I'm a big fan, but a lot of them are scared. They're
course.
scared about
They're in a
losing their
unique-
medical
yeah.
license.
They're malpractice
scared of getting
insurance.
sued. I mean, come on now. Our country is super sue happy, and I'd be scared too if I was a doctor. So
You know what I would be scared of, though, Jen? I'd be scared to prescribe Viagra.
yes, I would.
Okay, after 4 hours, what do? You walk into the emergency room and tap it
You
and say,
run.
Doc, I
That's-
don't know what I
Josh,
do with this.
That's the reality.
Yeah, the Olympics are on.
The reality is that ibuprofen kills more people
Right.
That's
than
right.
cannabis
Cannabis.
does.
And-
Falling
and-
out of bed causes more deaths a year in America than cannabis does. So
Isn't that
as a
crazy?
doctor,
We are
you
so
can say,
jaded
take
here.
this and go to sleep, and you've,
Right.
increased their risk of dying more than
Right.
you would with cannabis.
Ibuprofen.
If we want to play statistics, it gets really fun. but cannabis
Acetaminophen,
doesn't
right?
have it.
Acetaminophen,
Yeah.
Tylenol
Right.
on your liver. I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
like Viagra.
And
you walk,
especially drinking and
The
then
whole
taking
gateway
Tylenol.
drug.
Oh, the
drinking
gateway drug is
alcohol
Viagra.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
what do you, yeah. I mean, that's the gateway
the
drug. You
gateway
walk in,
out.
you're like,
Josh keeps going back to Viagra. I think he's
I
trying to
know.
tell us something.
Yeah,
Josh,
I'm
tell
not
us about the time you walked into the hospital after 4 hours.
Yeah.
well, you know what I did? I joined the Olympic team
Science
for pole
corner's
vaulting.
taking a turn.
Oh my God. Okay. Back to the reality.
Wow.
Wow.
You probably couldn't clear 4 or 5 inches.
Well, we're not going to get into that. No, back
Very unscientific.
That's a train wreck. Okay.
This is Science Corner, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Evidently not. It's now pole vaulting corner.
Well, in honor of the Olympics and Sexpot, which is after this, I figured that was a good one.
Well, thanks, Jesse, and I appreciate that.
But yeah,
Although-
in all seriousness,
Go America.
The numbers are out there. You can find it.
Yeah.
And if
All
she
right.
has any other trouble,
Get
Realm
on
of
the
Carrying Her
group.
Can
The group-
Labs.
The CBD group is the best.
All right.
You know.
The CBD group is the best, and it's
It's a good way
called
for patients. The
Jen.
Pediatric Cannabis Therapy Group.
Pediatric
job,
Cannabis
Chris
Therapy
Stubbs.
Group.
Is your name Jennifer too?
Rebecca Brown, I always have to say thank you for putting this together. We're getting, I don't know, 5-10 new members every day.
Oh my God.
All
yeah.
across the globe. And
Well-
our aim is to help every single one of you.
Yeah.
And so we're here for you. You know, all jokes aside, we love to joke. We have to have some levity in our situation because we deal with, let's face it, guys, we deal with a
Stressful.
lot of sickness. We
It's
deal with
very
cancer, we
stressful.
deal with Dravet, we deal
Yeah.
with all kinds of So we have to
And
bring
then
in
the
levity and
government.
some
Don't
fun.
forget that.
Oh, no, I can never forget the government. It's the
Sorry.
reason my
They're
cell phone
wonderful.
doesn't work.
Shout out. I'm just kidding.
Shout
God.
out.
All right, guys, we just
Stop.
have a few more minutes in Science Corner, so I want to cover something here. And this is we've received no less than 50 questions on this. A local company here called Dixie Elixirs, okay, has introduced a product, what they call a hemp CBD product, okay, and this is 100% CBD. Now, Chris, I know, and I'm going to preface this, you can't talk a lot about this. You guys do the testing on this, so I'm going to do most of the talking. The owner of this company is a really good friend of mine, and he has agreed to come on the show next week. So the limited information that I'm going to be able to give you now regarding these products, you're going to have a bevy of it next week.
Yeah.
And so what I want to tell you about this, and some of the questions that we've been getting on this is this CBD product synthetic? Is that how they're able to ship and be able to get this product to people? And the answer to that, Chris, is
We'll come
Negatory.
next week.
no, it is not synthetic. Anything that I've seen in the last several years of being, I've been in this business even longer than Tripp has. Tripp Kieber, who is the owner of Dixie Elixirs, and nothing they do is synthetic. Everything they do is a very, very, what I consider to be quality. And they test their products, obviously, through you because you're the best.
And they've always tested, though. I mean, even before,
That's true.
they came to Can Labs.
They
They've
did.
always tested,
Yeah, they
always
did what
been
I did
responsible.
back in the day, which was test with every lab, and I'm a scientist, so
And then
I
found
was
Can
tested
Labs.
And look, I
All right. Well,
but
Tripp
yeah.
Tripp has always done everything top
They've
notch.
done well.
Yeah.
We say how I've had questions. How can we get it? Is this going to stop seizures? Is there THC in this product? When can I get it? Here's my best answer to all of those things. Number one, no, it's not a synthetic. Number two, is it a hemp-derived product? Not exactly. Okay. When you remember hearing Rick Simpson and you hear of the Phoenix Tears and you hear of the oil, and if you haven't heard of that,
They use hemp.
Google Phoenix
generally,
Tears.
yeah.
You use the term hemp, okay, and a very general term. It's not derived from hemp, okay? So I do not want to get our listeners out there thinking you can go to Whole Foods again and buy your hemp products and get all the CBD oil.
That's
you need.
important. Yeah, it's even if it were, Tripp will address all this, but
Right.
it's definitely, there's a big difference between hemp oil and hemp oil products at the store than other. There's tons of strains of hemp.
Yes.
And a lot of them grown all over the world, and you can produce unique ratios of minor cannabinoids from those cultivars.
Yes,
And so
that's right.
dream the world, it is there, and you can refine and balance blends of high CBC or CBG or whatever.
And if you
It's
can
all
imagine it,
possible.
folks, I promise it's possible. And that's kind of what they've done. But I'm not going to step on Tripp's toes because Tripp has agreed to come in here next week and explain all of your questions. And in fact, I have 2 pages of questions regarding this. Can this help my kids? My initial response to this, which I talked to Tripp tonight, is what we do, the Stanley Brothers, and what the plants that we have bred specifically for high CBD and for low impact or for no high in our Dravet syndrome kids, we tailor these ratios as to their condition. And so what I would have to say is that this product is probably, and I hope, is going to be absolutely incredible for many different types of afflictions, from arthritis to MS to all of these types of things. I just don't know. My thing, and Jen, I think yours too, is give it a shot.
Absolutely. I mean, you cannot say anything without trying it regardless. And they have a plethora of products from topicals to capsules.
Yes, they do.
And I do want to say hello to Tamara Darwin, Christy Lunsford. All great people there at Dixie, and Tamara and Darwin do an amazing job with their formulations. So, but yeah, you always want to try things. You absolutely do.
You do. But one thing I want to say is there's a difference between a company that puts out large amounts of medicine like this, or pills or salves or things like this, but that are going to help thousands, in fact, maybe millions, in fact, probably millions of people, and then specified diseases like Dravet. We try to zero in on these types of things for these types of ratios. And so is this going to be beneficial to your children? I don't know. The answer is give it a shot. Dixie Elixirs is one of the more reputable companies in Colorado, and that I can say. And next week we're going to have Trip on the show. So right now, guys, I'm sorry. We have to take a break. We got to end Science Corner. So everybody say goodnight to the lovely Genifer Murray and the beautiful, gorgeous Chris Stubbs.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
The law offices of Edson Maiden and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Welcome back to American Weed Realm Radio. Josh Stanley here, your host, and mustacheless Jesse here is your co-host. And I've got we have a very exciting special guest. Spencer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Josh.
What's up,
It's
buddy?
good to see you, fellas.
Talk into the mic, Spencer.
Thank you, Josh. It's good to see you, fellas.
That's good.
Spencer, it's always good to see you. Spencer, you and I have quite a history together. You were actually one of my employees at one of the dispensaries downtown. One of my favorite employees, I might add.
Sir.
Absolutely. And upon hearing your story, over a year ago, you and I become good friends. And Spence, I think tonight what I really want to talk about is we focus a lot on the show on the children that we treat non-psychoactively through the CBD oil, for epilepsy and for different forms of epilepsy. And you have a unique story because, and tell everyone, how old are you?
I'm now 26.
26 years old. And at what age did you start using medical marijuana or medicinal cannabis for your epilepsy?
Let's see. I probably got my recommendation was in 2009.
So 3 years ago. So at about age 23, you got your recommendation. Did you use medicinal cannabis prior to this? Did you find that it worked for your seizure control?
The weird way that came up is that I knew it worked for something, a feeling that I had had my whole life, and I could only ever describe it as a hot flash, which was apparently not good enough for any doctor to diagnose it as epilepsy until I had a grand mal seizure. I knew that cannabis was able to shut down whatever feeling that was, which I later came to find that was an aura, or a local partial seizure.
Explain that a little bit more.
So a partial seizure or localized seizure is something that takes over just a piece of your brain, whereas a grand mal seizure, which most people would relate to any sort of epileptic episode, is something that takes over your entire brain. Every neuron in your mind is firing off.
Can you and I have talked about this, but I want you to tell all of our viewers and all of our listeners here, the first time that you had a grand mal seizure, okay, and I mean really the driving incident. Can you recall that story?
Yeah, absolutely. I've told it a few times. The way I found out I had epilepsy basically was that I was driving one day home from a friend's house after being on the search for marijuana for a while. The aura that I normally get that came on, and I didn't think much of it. I knew there was no real stopping it unless I got home to maybe a cool place, and I definitely didn't have any cannabis on me. So I didn't think too much about it, and the next thing I know, I woke up face up in an ambulance. The EMT telling me that I ran my car into a building. I possibly broke my back. Here in the back of an ambulance, they started asking me the typical questions. Who's the president? What's your birthday? Do you know your name? And they quickly were pretty much convinced that I'd had a seizure and might have another one, so they put me out in the ambulance, and then I woke up in the hospital at Denver General, having been already x-rayed for a back break, and that's pretty much how that story went. And
that's really your induction to epilepsy.
Yeah, was running into a bank.
It's pretty severe.
Nearly killing somebody, and and breaking my back.
And you knew prior to this that cannabis helped curb these auras or these episodes that you could feel coming on. You knew this prior to this, but unfortunately at this point in time you didn't have access to the cannabis, or you didn't have the right medical marijuana center that was in place in Colorado to be able to go and make sure that you had this so that an incident like this didn't happen, correct?
Absolutely. And I mean, once all this came up, obviously I would have pain. I had pain too. My legitimate orthopedist is actually who gives me my recommendation, knowing that it actually is helping the epilepsy than the pain for me. But kind of going back into finding out about it, it was it was a shock and not a surprise all at the same time. It was like, well, this is something I've been feeling for a while. I wish I could have told the doctor that I know this stuff helped, but I never could, and nor could I use male hot flashes as an excuse to get my recommendation.
I doubt you're going through menopause at 26.
Exactly. That's not on the amendments.
What was your family? What was their response?
Immediately when I first told my mom is always a full supporter of me. So when I told her it worked, she believed that it worked. That's just how my mom is. My dad had a little tougher time with it, as he is a former federal judge. So that didn't help too much. But he actually, once he started seeing me using it legitimately, hearing stories from work, from friends, from school about how this has worked for me, works for me, and continues to work for me. He's 100% convinced, actually.
Can I talk a little bit about this?
Absolutely.
Can I tell a little backstory here?
Absolutely. Feel free.
Spencer, the funny thing about this, and we've laughed about this before, but our viewers have not heard this story yet, is that I knew your father before I knew you. And folks, the way that I knew Spencer's father is that, he's a very well-known federal judge here in Colorado, and we're at the same gym, the same workout club together. And I'd gotten into the what's called, it was a waiting list to get into the I don't even know what it's called.
It's like getting your locker.
It's
name on your locker.
It's like getting your name on your locker, and I'd waited 4 years for this. I mean, not a prestige.
His induction.
My induction, yes,
to the hall.
And I wanted to do it just because back then I had long hair and because I was in medical marijuana, and I just wanted to see if I could get my locker close to the governor's, which I did. I'm 4 down. And so I got to know your father somewhat because he would, as many as the other older gentlemen in there, kind of look at me and give me the gruff, until we all got to know each other. And I was, oh, okay, this Josh guy's okay. This guy's okay. And so I got to know your father. And then when you applied for a position at our company, I thought, Nottingham, I wonder if, there's no way. And you came in and I said, is your father by any chance a federal judge? And you said, yes. I said, oh my goodness. Your father and I kind of went round and round in the Men's Health Club. And so the most amazing thing to me, and to your father's credit, is really what I'm getting at. When he found out that you were using medicinal cannabis responsibly to control your seizures, he did a 180, right?
It was probably the slowest 180 I've ever seen.
Well, he is a federal judge.
But it did happen. it did. And I mean, to the point that if I do need to use it around and even in front of him, he doesn't have a problem with it anymore.
Wow.
I right now I'm living in a condo that he's owned since the 70s or 80s. My brother's lived in it before, and he knows I'm smoking in it. He has no problem with it. There's a no-grow rule, but that's about it.
Well, and I can understand that coming from a federal judge's standpoint. However, the metamorphosis that he did and the change that he saw in you was that, hey, you know what? My son is not using this as a recreational. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I want to get away. I don't want our viewers to understand we're we're talking about anything wrong with recreational use. That's just not what we do here. That's not what we talk about here. We're talking about using this for medicinal reasons. And for your father to see that and understand and respect the fact that you use this as a responsible technique, that's, to me, in itself, knowing your father before I knew you, that's a miracle. It's a minor miracle.
I will confirm that it is a miracle. An absolute miracle. It was a pretty nerve-wracking to try and bring it up to him again. Months and months I spent grounded and throughout my high school days for various occurrences.
Isn't that you know, we can use this so as a metaphor, because we have so many patients that we see through the realm of caring that we help out, that whether it's the parents' kids that they ground them for, whether it's a spouse that threatens to leave them because they know, this is just an escape, this is just you getting out. They don't really understand the fact that, no, this is my medicine.
Yeah.
And this is what works. And Spence, I want you to talk a little bit about what they've had you on as far as your pharmaceutical medications go. We've talked about it before, but let our listeners know what is really, you've tried it all, but what's worked and what's not.
I have at one point or another tried it all for various things too at some points. When I was younger, my mom was diagnosed with bipolar. So automatically the doctor had to take a look at me, of course. Yeah. And of course I was bipolar too. At that point I went on Depakote for about a month, and I turned into God. It was a wonderful feeling.
Wow.
It's an amazing feeling until your mom goes, yeah, something's not right with you. We got to get you off.
Yeah. Often my wife will say, oh, my God. And I'll say, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I get the feeling. Go on, please.
Luckily, it's not a side effect that, couldn't, and you wanted to kill yourself also. Depakote was a bad one, too. I don't know. Anybody out there that knows some of the side effects of Depakote, it could be pretty detrimental.
They're horrendous. And they're for those of you listening and watching, there are many deaths associated with Depakote.
Yeah, tons. And so luckily my mom's always been smart enough to get me off meds if I either look like I need to be or say I want to be. I also, of course, went through the slew of ADD meds at much younger age, came off of those. Then when it came to my epilepsy, they hadn't put me on medication right at the wreck because nobody was with me to everybody assumed it was probably an epileptic incident, but nobody was riding with me, so nobody could confirm it. Though I went on a slew of painkillers, of course. I went on Oxycontin, 80 milligrams, the second highest dose you can get of that, 3 times a day, as well as Flexor, which is a muscle relaxer, and a few different kind of pain patches that are actual, prescription pain patches. Blew my mind. And so when I came down off of the Oxycontin is what I am convinced triggered another full grand mal seizure. When I was getting out of the back brake and coming off of it. And so that's when they decided that they should put me on control meds. So they started me on Lamictal, heightened the dose, and throughout that time I had I think 1 or 2 seizures.
But Lamictal, for those of you who are not aware, causes a lot of blood pressure, a lot of different issues.
And if you take Lamictal for something else and you take it habitually and you just can't get to it or don't have it, don't take it, it will cause seizures. And in fact, my mom had a problem with possibly that, if not something with lithium. But that's another story.
Sure.
So the Lamictal they increased to the point where it would have been deadly. Just, they know as doctors that that point in your blood, going over that is quite risky, I guess. Maybe not deadly. I won't say deadly, but it's risky to have more than that. So they put me on another one to, help with that one. which it far from did. They started putting me on more and more of this. This is a young neurologist, and I told her that at this point I told her that I knew marijuana helped. By the time she had finished getting me on Keppra and Lamictal, are the two meds that I was on, she she had been denying me the marijuana or the cannabis the whole time, and that it could possibly work. And by the time she had me on the full dose, it didn't work. It couldn't work. I wasn't able to stop any auras, anything like I was before. I finally ended up having 5 seizures in Rose Hospital one day. My grandma had to, or my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend now, but girlfriend at the time.
Hello.
Drove me back from Thornton. I had been spending the night at Thornton with her, and she was driving my car. And as we were driving by the hospital, luckily, I guess, is when I started really convulsing and had 5 seizures in the ER. Got them quelled with fentanyl and ketamine, which is a crazy feeling.
A horse tranquilizer, folks, is what ketamine is.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. Woke up the next day in ICU. Had no idea what had happened pretty much that whole past 14 hours, which is a feeling I've never been familiar with. And so I decided it was time to change neurologists. And luckily the guy who walked in was Stanley Ginsberg, who's an older gentleman. I've heard other doctors argue maybe a little bit too old to be a neurologist. And I decided to change over to him, and thank the Lord, he didn't quite believe me, but he listened. He actually spent an hour and a half with me the first time and decided to, okay, let's start cutting you off. I mean, clearly you're getting worse and worse as it's getting more and more, so let's try and cut you off, but be warned, you might have worse seizures because you're coming off of them. Finally,
but he listened.
He did listen, and finally it came down to it was where it was low enough that I could say I was just on the Keppra, a very low dose, and I asked, can you just take me off of everything? Let me prove to you that I really think this is going to work. And he said, well,
the cannabis is going to work.
The cannabis, I can feel the auras coming on, and it'll quell anything. It always has. I have my recommendation. You don't need to give it to me. Just take me off of the Keppra. So he agreed to do it, warning me that he would have to send something to DMV saying that to cancel my license. Luckily, I never got anything from the DMV. I never stopped driving, but I never had any seizures.
He was old,
my He was old. You might have forgotten.
And then again, thank the Lord for Dr. Stanley.
For Dr. Ginsberg. But he was a great doctor. Actually, probably the best doctor I've ever had. I've never had a doctor that would spend an hour and 15 minutes with me every time I walked into the office. That seemed unheard of to me.
Most doctors are not interested in what your side effects are. They're interested in pumping more pharmaceuticals, and I say that not as a conspiracist. Okay, we don't look at things this way. This is what our medical doctors in the American Medical Association. That's what they're trained for. They're not trained to look at holistic therapies. And when we look at cannabis, it's hard for people to look at cannabis as a holistic therapy, but that's really what it is. It falls into the nutritional supplement or the dietary supplement realm. When you find a doctor that's open-minded enough to say, hey, listen, if this is working for you, let's give it a shot. And still, even now, we don't know. But Spence, I want to ask you a question, okay? You've heard and you've seen what my brothers and I have been able to do with this new breed of plant. And you knew I've been breeding this plant for the last couple of years, and we just had success with this. We are focusing our efforts on the younger children with Dravet syndrome and with Goose and a lot of different types of epileptic syndromes. What I'd really like to do, and what I want to offer you on the show tonight, is as soon as this harvest comes down, we're going to have a very high amount of this oil. What I'd like to do, with your permission, and I wanted to do this live on the show, is ask you, would you be willing to take part in the study in the non-psychoactive form of this oil that we're creating that has a very low ratio of THC, a very high of CBD, that has been shown to stop seizures? Would you do this with us?
Absolutely. I think you already know you don't even have to ask me that question.
I wanted to ask you live.
If you hadn't asked me that question, I probably would have had to ask you the question. I'm willing to do whatever for the realm. I'd love to help in any capacity I can.
Well, Spencer, you know that we love you, and you know that we want to help you in any way possible. And for those listening and those watching, guys, this is not an excuse, and this is just more fodder for your fire. This is not an excuse to get high. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about quelling symptoms here. We're talking about taking away symptoms altogether in many, many cases. So, Spence, I want to be able to offer this to you. It's coming up very soon, and we have already put aside what we think that you're going to need so that you won't run out. And we want to start you on this oil and this medication. We're going to start on different ratios, as you know what we've always done. We start with things that are tested and things that we think are going to be tailored to your physiology. We're not doctors. We make no claims. We're not scientists. We make no claims. We use scientists to make these ratios, and we use doctors that then, Dr. Shackelford, for example, that you can communicate with through observational research studies. We're excited to get you on this, and you as a 26-year-old, you're our first, and we want to see how this quells your auras or the onset of these seizures that are coming on. And I want to tell you, you've become a great friend to me, not just an employee. I mean, we talk about employees and people hiring this and that. You've become part of our family, and we have always felt that way, and we've never lost in touch. So I hope that there's something that we can do in regards to this new CBD oil and this medication that we're coming up with, because it's all yours.
Awesome.
I'll take it. Not going to cost you a dime. We want to see you get better, man. And
that'd be great. And I wonder what, as I see these kids getting research, going in on these type of researches, I wonder what could have happened if I had access to something like that. You help a kid get over his epilepsy before it gets out of hand, or it's easier to get rid of it in childhood. Is what I hear. It's the older you get with it, the more likely you're just going to be living with it for life.
Well, and there's something to that. And again, we're not doctors, we're not scientists, we don't make claims. But the sooner that you can catch something like this and start to retrain what the world knows as your synapses, or how your brain connections fire to each other, the sooner that you can catch that, the better. And in your situation, you were courageous enough, even before medical marijuana came to Colorado, in a situation that you can go and buy it at medical marijuana centers. You overcame that, even with a father that was a federal judge. And Spencer, I just want to tell you, we have to take a break here, but I want to tell you, me hiring you was the best hire we've had. We consider you our family, our brother, and we'll do anything we can to help you and take care of you. Would you come on the show and talk about your progress in the future when we get you on this oil?
Absolutely. Again, question you don't need to ask.
Well, we'd love to have you on here. We sure do love you. Folks, we're going to take a break here. American We Realm Radio will be back here in just a few minutes. Spencer Nottingham, thank you.
Thank you.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, American Weed Realm Radio. I want to thank Spencer Nottingham, very, very special guest for us.
It's a good story.
He's a great story, and you know what, Jesse? He's one of the ones that I've been confronted with since I got in this business, from Ray Martinez, the former mayor of Fort Collins, who say, oh, these damn kids, they come up to these dispensaries and they have a stubbed toe or they broke their arm and they come in, and I look at them and I say, you know what? You must have bionic X-ray vision to be able to see epilepsy, to be able to see HIV, to be able to see MS. And you know what? Furthermore, even if they did stub their toe, even if they did break their arm, knowing that there's, how many millions of people in Colorado that jump off mountains like we do? Yeah. I would applaud a person like that for going in and requesting something 100% natural like cannabis as a treatment, as opposed to going into a doctor and requesting Oxycontin, Vicodin, Percocet, all these opiates. So you know what? Either way, I think the argument loses.
Yeah, but there's no cannabis pharmaceutical sales rep that's paying for golf trips and cars. And
they don't. They're true. They don't send them to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you know what? Neither do we. But we make them better. Yeah. And as we look back through the history of cannabis, is it the end all be all? No. And are we here to tell you it's the end all be all? No. That is not what we're here to tell you. We're here to tell you that this enhances many, many, many medical conditions, and in some it replaces the primary treatment, like you see Spencer and some of our kids' cases. Many of our cancer patients that people have yet to be seen, but they will see. It's a phenomenon that the world has really not been able to see yet. And we're on the cutting edge of this. And people say, oh, you have to be careful because, the government's looking, or, the DEA. And I say, why? Why are they looking? And in fact, let them look. If you really are the Drug Enforcement Administration, if you really are the American Medical Association, if you really are the Food and Drug Administration, then you would have these patients' best interests at heart. Mm-hmm. And we don't see that, and that's so unfortunate. And as I look at people that we talk to, and I'm not going to name names, but people that we talk to in the European Union, like Portugal, like Spain, you talk to leaders there, and what you have is a system that goes from the top down, meaning that their healthcare system, it's not perfect, and that's not what I'm here to argue, but they, from the top down, pay for their citizens for their treatment, whether it's cancer, whether it's HIV, whether it's hepatitis, whether it's arthritis, whatever it may be.
Well, they go to the doctor for everything because they, in general, don't have to pay for it.
Well, because that's what goes into their tax dollars, right?
Exactly.
And so in the United States, it's 180-degree different because our money comes from us. Our private health care comes from us.
Yep.
I got no problem telling you that I pay for my wife and I $800 a month.
And I know our mother just said recently she pays $1,700.
$1,750 is what she pays for her and the rest of the kids in our family.
That's a mortgage payment.
That's a mortgage payment for
nice
that's
home.
2 mortgage payments, in some instances. So, it's so flip flopped and it's so convoluted, and it makes me sick. Which is what we're going to talk about next, and we're bringing on a very special guest now that's calling in and staying up very, very late from Scotland. And we're going to bring on Allan Skywalker. And Allan and I have been talking with each other over Facebook. And just to give everybody, before we bring him on, a quick synopsis on Allan. Allan was a very, an outdoor, an adventurist, a lot like you, a lot like me. He ran into the same debilitating condition that I did. Remember when I had my paragliding crash and smashed my vertebrae in my back, and he's gone through many of the same situations. And so what we think in America a lot of times is that the European Union or people overseas tend to look at this in a little bit more of a lapsed manner. And sometimes that's true. But in Scotland, nothing could be further from the truth. In Ireland, nothing could be further from the truth. In the UK, there's a lot of places that still continue to follow the failed drug war policy that the United States goes, because as our foot goes, so does the Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, and that's very unfortunate. So we're very honored here to have Allan as our guest tonight, and I'd like to welcome Allan to the show. Allan, are you here with us?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey, doing good, Allan. It's good to finally talk to you. How are you, brother?
Yeah, it's you too, man. You too. Great show again tonight, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you. Allan, I want to thank you for coming on. What time is it there in Scotland?
It's 20 to 3 in the morning.
Jeez. Wow, you're a trooper for staying up with us.
I don't really sleep that much. I just cat nap, so I'm up quite late a lot of times.
Well, Allan, 2 things. I want to thank you, 1, for staying up for us, and 2, I'd like to thank you for slowing it down to a William Wallace pace and a Mel Gibson pace where we can actually understand you. We have, we talk to a lot of Scottish or Irish people, as you meet, and I tell you what, it's like deciphering Rosetta Stone.
Well, I just want to say as well, guys, I want to say, first of all, that a lot of people out there that you've got an awful lot of, because it's crazy to think that you guys are actually really pioneering medicinal use of cannabis worldwide again. I mean, it's a herb that's been used for thousands of years, and my big sort of bugbear now being 46, living through parts being recreational use and eventually having to be used in one part medicinal use. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, the state of it, especially over in Scotland, is totally unbelievable. I mean, you've planted a lot of seeds of hope for a lot of people who suffer with severe pain. I mean, I'm in a lot of pain, but some of the stories I've been listening to on your shows and stuff like that about the young children with the cancers and stuff like that, I mean, goodness me, what we really need to be doing, and what I really get from the show that I've been watching and from hearing you guys, number 1 is the kindness that you're showing. And if we can't do something for our next generation, which is the children, especially the children that are in pain, and there's not enough kind words spoke in the world because people think that you're coming for an absolutely unbelievable direction because there's so much horrible things happening in the world. But this herb is an unbelievable healing herb, and I just want to say as well, what you're doing with the plant, making it the CBD, take the CBD out, that's going to be a miracle plant. That's going to change so many people's views, because you can understand why parents don't want to think about their kids getting high. And the problem that I've got just now, and it's been in this country and it's been systematic for decades now, is recreational or medicinal. Do you know something? Cannabis has never been recreational. I know it's been used as recreational. I know it's been spoke about as recreation. I know about 100 years ago, up until about 100 years ago, it wasn't even mentioned as being recreational. For thousands of years, it's been purely medicinal. And it's great that you're sure that you've got it, because it just gets the word out there. It gets the word out. It gets more people communicating, more people asking questions, counteracting the facts, because somebody comes out with something positive about it, and you know what it's like. The very next day, somebody comes out with something negative. You do something good in the one hand, and the next hand, somebody tries to take it away from you. You know what I mean? But I just really want to thank you guys for what you are doing, because you really are planted a lot of hope for a lot of people out there who obviously are getting to maybe the end of the medicinal side, the prescribed side, like myself and many people out there, you know.
Allan, thank you so much for what you're saying there, and you're absolutely right. You know, it's kind of like Dennis Perrone said a couple weeks ago on our show. If you really think about it, there really are no recreational users. We're all using this for something. If you're using it to get high, then what were you? Low? Were you depressed? And so, you know, for whatever reason, we're defining new reasons for using medicinal cannabis. You and I have a very similar background. You and I are kind of outdoor enthusiast people. You know, I paraglide and surf and river surf, and you've done all the outdoor activities. And you and I had the exact identical injury where we exploded our discs in our lower back. And I've had the surgery, you've had the surgery, and now I'm set to have the surgery again. And you know, I'd like you to talk about this, because what we're finding in the United States is so different in places that still the shadow resides over true medicinal cannabis, and that is the measures that we've taken and the access, for example, Allan, that I have for my back pain is not to just go out on the street and buy a dime bag, but I can go in and I can find the right ratio, or I can create the right ratio in our lab that attacks my back pain, that I don't have to go out and I don't have to guess from some drug dealer on the street. So give us an idea of what it's kind of like in Scotland for you to be able to get relief for your pain through cannabis.
Problems to deal with. I see that all the time. I mean, the problems you still have to deal with pushing these things forward, you know. But over here, there is just no way to. I mean, where I am at the moment, I've had both placed. But one of blood pressure problems, which has caused cardiovascular problems and also high triglycerides. Now, I sound like a doctor, but I'm far from it. But all these symptoms that have came from me getting treated, that's the treatment that's causing me to be ill. The amount of painkillers, muscle relaxants and sleeping tablets that I've been on for almost a decade has totally wrecked my inside and my stomach. I'm rejecting these tablets. I've eventually been able to come off muscle relaxants and stop taking my sleeping tablets, because I've been able to get a really nice bit of cannabis, which is very high in CBD, and it works great for me. It's brought back my appetite a wee bit, and it's made me feel a bit better in myself. I'm actually doing something about it, because I would rather be taking one singular herb extract than taking 32 chemically enhanced tablets a day. It's given me so much other health problems. It's unbelievable. And at the end of the day, I was in to see my surgeon yesterday, and just my partner, just when I was leaving, I knew I was coming on the show, and I said to him, I said, listen, could you tell me, why is medicinal marijuana not more prominent in the UK and Britain? And he just turned around and said, money. Because the pharmaceutical companies are so involved with the politicians and the government here that it would be like a wonder drug, and it would stop them producing all the tablets and things that they produce. And at the end of the day, that is what a lot of the fight is over here, is to even get past that, you know. So it's very much an uphill struggle, you know.
Allan, we do know, and unfortunately, that's why, you know, when a person or a country or a group of people puts money in front of health, you have a real hard time calling it the healthcare system. You really need to call it the sick care system, because there's no money in creating health for these people. So that in itself is quite unfortunate. Can you describe to us, because we know now, once we've gotten to know you a little bit better, how cannabis helps your particular ailment? Tell us, what's it like, number one, to procure cannabis for yourself, and number two, what is the penalty for procuring cannabis should you be caught in your country?
Well, I'm now 46, so I've got a few grey hairs, so I feel a wee bit older, wiser, and made quite a few mistakes. So, but I at one point had my own garden, and I was growing for my own personal use, for my own medicinal use. I had friends, a few friends played the guitar, and I would maybe share with them, sort of thing. But the police came, busted my garden, smashed all the equipment, took everything away, took my flat away from me. I went to court, and I've had quite a few possession charges here and there. As you know, the weed, the grass is absolutely stinking. So a lot of the times that I've had any problems with the police, it's mainly been because of the smell of the weed that's got me stopped, So, but they all added up fines, £50 fine and £100 fine, £200 fine. I paid quite a lot of money out in fines, but when I went up to the court for getting caught with the garden, I had a huge big medical report in front of the judge, and he said if it wasn't for the medical report, then I would have been getting a lengthy sentence. Wow. And what they done was they put me under house arrest for 8 months. They gave me an electric tag that I couldn't get out of the house. Unknown to them, I was just after my hip operation, so I was on my bed for three months anyway. So there was no sort of punishment at all, But just now, if you get stopped over here with a bit of cannabis, the police are really not interested.
They're not interested.
They're just not interested. It's like, unless they maybe stopped you with a sizable amount, or if you're in the middle of doing something you really shouldn't be, in a sizable sort of thing, then obviously they would maybe need to do something. But they're not interested. In this country, they're not interested, but the government seems to be keep going with this and keep going with it. And as I said to you, see for you are, that's like heaven to me. It just seems like heaven to be able to go into your own clinic and to be able to be treated like that. It's just unbelievable that it's tested and you know all the levels. It's like it is really like another planet. But even I think I mentioned when I was speaking to one of the things on Facebook, 55 minutes from here, from my house on plane, I can fly to Holland and I can go and see a medical practitioner and he can prescribe me medical marijuana. Now, I've been doing quite a lot of homework because you've regenerated my spirit to sort of fight a wee bit more and sort of just give up and accept my position. And I found a document deep in the annals of the European Unions which goes on to tell you about cross-border patient care, which allows me effectively, for all the European Unions agreed on this, what I'll do is I'll send you a link on it, Josh, and it tells you that I'm allowed to go to Holland with medical reports from this country and get something that's going to be beneficial to me. If I've exhausted all other avenues, which I have in my case, I'm allowed to actually go and do that and bring a month's supply back. Now, that's not advertised anywhere.
No, but
in the European Union, in the health law, it's a directive, which is a directive in the European Union is law.
Well, you know what? And that still, Allan, that's progression. And, it's so funny. Even in Amsterdam, even in Holland, I was there last year, some of the new laws that are changing and even the way that the laws stand are you can purchase it. You can purchase not medical marijuana, but marijuana, let's say, but you're not allowed to grow it. And so there's a big witch hunt on who's growing marijuana in Holland. And now they're working to change the laws, which I think is really unfortunate. But at the same time, where you're coming from Scotland, are you seeing any type of policy change whatsoever on the horizon? Do you see any type of reason for optimism there?
I've got really have got a bit of optimism when you mentioned optimism, because Scotland have not years that's maybe going to be put to the Scottish people to vote for independence. And I think that if Scotland get their independence, we have our own government, I think the people of Scotland would want this. I think the Scotland people by nature are kind people, and they would want people who need the help to get the help if that is where they can get it from. At the end of the day, it's such a natural thing that should be. It's unbelievable for, in this day and age, we're even debating it and discussing it and trying to back up our arguments. There's so much evidence out there now, and never mind just now, historically. I urge people who are listening tonight, go and do a wee bit of history. Go and look up the history of cannabis, oils, how it's been used throughout history, and it's been medicinal. It's been highly used for hundreds of different things for centuries.
For thousands
and
of different things, Alan. Absolutely, for thousands of different things. And shame on us, because it comes down to money. It does not come down to health. It comes down to money. And as I've said over and over,
if it comes down to money, right, you would automatically sort of say, right, if it comes down to money, obviously the big boys are going to always beat the wee boys. So all you can keep doing is exactly what you're doing. And with the wonder of the web and the internet and just communication, is keep putting these facts out, keep putting these stories out. That video that you played tonight was great.
Thank you. Well, there's a lot of beards disappeared though. Well, you're going to see more of those clips. You're going to see more as the weeks go on. Oh, we have
There's
to.
been a shaving fest out there. There's quite a few beards missing.
Thanks. Alan, we have to cut you loose here, but I want to thank you so much for coming on. Your messages and everything.
No problem at all. It's an absolute honor. Thanks very much for asking me, man.
Well, everything you posted on Facebook has been such an inspiration to our group and to our family and to everyone else. Please stay in touch. Can we have you on the show again?
Listen, no problem. I just want to say as well, peace, love, and blessings for Scotland. And just honestly, even if it's if it's just one person's life that you sort of changed, then you've done something really good in the world, and you've reawakened me. And I just want to thank you personally. Thank you, your brothers, the family. The buzz that I got off the show was just so positive. I just want to thank you for it very, very much.
That's awesome, Alan. You're very, very welcome, and we're all in this
Peace
together.
out, guys. Right.
Yeah, brother, man. Thank you so much. We're in this together.
Take care. Talk to you soon.
Have you on again, buddy. See you later.
Bye-bye, mate. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. That was just so cool. It just shows. And again, real quick, viewers, listeners, we had a bit of an echo there, so I hope you really got to hear Alan, because it just shows that this is a worldwide topic. This is not just Denver. It's not just Colorado. It's not just the United States. This is a worldwide topic, and there are people out there that are using this as medicine. And eventually the people will be heard. I mean, obviously we'll be thinking of Allan and their pursuit of, and Scotland and their pursuit of independence, and hopefully they can get some change. Whatever's necessary for them to not feel like criminals it's just heartbreaking to hear stories like that. But it's also wonderful to hear him sort of revitalized.
But this is where it starts, Jesse. You're absolutely right. This is where it starts. Starts with a seed and it grows. And people like Allan, it's great for us to see that this is not something that we're dealing with in the United States. We're dealing with a plant here that deals with a bevy of diseases. And it's about time that we wake up and we start treating sick people and not treating them like profit. And so, Allan, I just want to thank you so much. We're going to have you on the show again. You've been a blessing to us. We sure do love you. Want to send our love out. I want to thank Georgia Edson. I want to thank Warren Edson. We're in a new studio now, and they moved us to the new place, so I'm really excited about that. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in tonight. Jesse has a plug that he needs to make, but before so, guys, please, realmofcaring.com. Become involved, become organized. Guys, and you know what? I'm going to leave it at this before Jesse plugs it. Stay tuned for Sexpot Radio next. But, guys, it takes one lighthouse to bring in 1,000 ships. Be that lighthouse. Jesse.
Absolutely, guys. There's something really exciting coming to Colorado, and it's going to last for quite a while. It's called the Cannabis Run. 5C Event Foundation has kind of putting this on. Just learned about it recently, and it's pretty awesome. A lot of different dispensaries around the state of Colorado are kind of putting this thing on. If you would like to join this and learn more about it, basically you get a lot of free stuff from different dispensaries. You can get free samples from the dispensaries, and you could just go to all of them and get a free sample. If you want to know more about this, call Bubba. Bubba Kush, I don't know if that's right, but Bubba, 720-490-1857. If you call before 10, you will get a half off your price, is what I've been told. So give him a call before 10. You got 2 hours. Thank you for listening. Thanks again, Allan. That was really wonderful listening to you and hearing your thoughts from Scotland. It makes me think outside the box that is Colorado that I often live in. And we thank you for that, and stay tuned for next week. Bye.